Imagine losing your job just because you helped someone in need. That's exactly what happened to Alex, a small-town mechanic who chose kindness over profit. But what came next? A chain reaction that would bring an entire community to his side, and even led a war hero to give up his most prized possession to repay that kindness. Hi everyone, welcome to Life Flow, where every story brings a new perspective. Let's get started. Mike adjusted his cap and sighed as he looked at the broken-down pickup in front of him. It wasn't the first time it had stalled, and he doubted it would be the last. Money was tight. Being a veteran didn't pay the bills, and with 2 kids and his wife, Nancy, working 2 jobs, they needed this old truck to get him to his job interview. He'd been job hunting for months, and finally, there was a real opportunity if he could just get there. With a grimace, he pushed the truck the last few blocks down the road to Henderson's Auto Repair. It was a small-town shop, but it was known for getting things done quickly and well. Mike's legs ached, but he kept pushing until he finally reached the garage. Alex, a young mechanic with oil-stained hands and a welcoming smile, jogged out to help him. "Need a hand?" he asked, already moving to help Mike steer the truck into the service bay. "Thanks, son," Mike said, trying to catch his breath. He took in the sight of Alex, who couldn't be much more than 30, but had a look of someone who'd seen his share of challenges. The 2 men exchanged a few polite words, but it wasn't long before Alex noticed Mike's struggle. "Veteran?" Alex asked, nodding at the patch on Mike's old army jacket. "Yeah," Mike replied with a small smile. "Fought in the Gulf. Things got tough when I got back." "Same here," Alex replied with a knowing look. "I'm not a vet myself, but I know what it's like to face struggles. Life hasn't exactly been smooth for me lately." Intrigued, Mike leaned in as Alex began to work on his truck. "Tell me about it, kid," he said, offering Alex an understanding smile. Alex kept his eyes on the engine, a soft sigh escaping as he spoke. "Well, for starters, I've got a son, Joey. He's only 5, but he's already faced more than a kid should. Got a condition called cystic fibrosis. It means a lot of time at the hospital and a pile of bills taller than my garage. Some days, I can barely make ends meet, you know? I'm working every hour I can, but it's like I'm chasing my own shadow, just trying to stay ahead of it all." Mike's face softened as he listened. "I can relate. Been there too, try to stretch every dollar just to get by." Alex glanced up, nodding in understanding. "The medical bills are, well, you get it. It's constant. But you know, the only way I'm managing right now is because Joey's doctor has been cutting us a break. I mean, he's doing what he can without charging for a lot of the treatments. But it's not enough." He hesitated, then continued. "We finally had to make the decision to sell our house. Needed the money to cover what insurance wouldn't. It was a tough choice, but when it comes to my kid," his voice trailed off and he shrugged. Hearing Alex's story, Mike felt a surge of empathy and respect for the young man. He could see the determination in Alex's eyes. A father trying to do right by his kid, working his hands raw to provide. This was a man who understood the weight of hardship, and yet, here he was, ready to help a stranger. "Look," Alex finally said, tightening a bolt under the hood. "I can get this fixed for you, Mike. I know what it's like to need a little help. This one's on me." Mike hesitated, the weight of Alex's kindness and sacrifice clear. "I don't have much on me right now, but are you sure? You've got enough on your plate." Alex shrugged, offering a small smile. "Sometimes you just gotta help people. I know you'll do the same for someone else someday." With a nod of gratitude, Mike accepted. He watched Alex work swiftly and skillfully, and within an hour, the truck was humming back to life. As he handed Mike the keys, Alex smiled and gave him a firm handshake. "Good luck, Mike." Mike looked at him with genuine gratitude. "Thank you, Alex. I'll pay you back, I promise." "No rush," Alex replied with a grin. Later that afternoon, Alex's boss, Mr. Henderson, called him into the office. He sat behind his desk, glasses perched low on his nose, his fingers tapping on the wood. "Alex," he said, voice clipped and cold, "I saw the log for today. You didn't charge a customer for a repair. I don't run a charity here, and I'm certainly not paying you to do free work." Alex explained about Mike, about his struggles as a veteran and the job interview he needed to get to. But Henderson's eyes only hardened. "You know the policy, pay or no service. It's simple," Henderson retorted, unmoved. Alex clenched his fists, struggling to stay calm. Mr. Henderson, sometimes people just need a break. Mike didn't have a lot, but he needed that truck to work. I know what that's like, needing help. Henderson's face turned stony. Then maybe you should spend more time helping yourself instead of giving out free repairs. If you're so interested in giving out charity, you can do it on your own dime, because you're fired. Alex stood in stunned silence as the weight of Henderson's words sank in. After a brief moment, he turned, nodded, and left, knowing he had made the right choice even if it had cost him his job. The next day, Mike returned to Henderson's auto repair with a wide smile and a freshly baked apple pie from his wife. Nancy had insisted on making it as a thank you for Alex's kindness. The truck had run perfectly, and the interview had gone even better. He'd gotten the job. He was eager to share the good news with Alex, the young mechanic who had restored more than just his truck. But when he arrived, he found Alex wasn't there. "Are you looking for Alex?" another mechanic asked. "I'm afraid he's not working here anymore." Mike's face fell. "Why? What happened?" The mechanic glanced around before speaking. "Mr. Henderson found out Alex did your repair for free. He got angry about it, said he wasn't running a charity here. Alex tried to explain, but Henderson wouldn't hear it. Fired him on the spot." Mike felt his stomach drop. Here he was, ready to thank Alex, only to find out that he'd been punished for his kindness. He stood there in silence, pie still in hand, feeling the weight of Alex's sacrifice. As Mike drove home, he kept thinking about Alex's face when he'd handed him the keys the day before. There had been no sign of hesitation or regret. Alex had done what he thought was right, even if it meant risking his job. That evening, Mike sat with Nancy, pie untouched between them. Nancy broke the silence, a thoughtful look on her face. "Remember what we were going to do if you didn't get that job?" she asked, her eyes drifting to the drawer where he kept his silver star, wrapped carefully in a handkerchief. Mike nodded. They had discussed selling his medal if things became desperate enough. "It's time, isn't it?" Nancy placed a hand over his. "For Alex, I think it is." The next morning, Mike went to the local auction house and arranged for a silent auction of his Silver Star medal. The auction manager was a middle-aged man named Tom, who immediately recognized the medal. "Is this a Silver Star?" Tom asked, surprise in his voice. "I've only ever seen one in person. I've heard stories about a Silver Star holder in town, someone who earned it under fire." Mike nodded. "That'd be me," he said softly, his fingers tracing the edge of the medal. "I received it when my unit was ambushed. We were pinned down, and I knew they'd never make it out if I didn't do something. So I charged in, carried out as many as I could under enemy fire. They were able to evacuate almost 20 guys. It was a rough day, but I'd do it all again." Tom's face turned solemn as he listened. "And you're selling this?" Mike nodded again, explaining Alex's story and the gesture he wanted to make. "I owe him. He's got a little boy fighting for his life, and he helped me when he was facing his own struggles. He shouldn't have been punished for it." Moved, Tom took Mike's hand and shook it firmly. "I'll spread the word. People need to know why you're doing this, Mike. You both deserve all the respect in the world." And true to his word, Tom told everyone who came in about Mike's story. The Silver Star hero who saved his brothers in arms and was now helping a young mechanic who'd been unjustly fired for his kindness. The following afternoon, Mike found Alex sitting on a bench in the park, staring into the distance, clearly weighed down by the uncertainty of what lay ahead. Mike approached him with a warm smile and sat beside him, sharing the news about the auction. "Alex, I'm selling my Silver Star," Mike said calmly. "With the funds, you'll have a way to cover some of Joey's medical costs and get back on your feet." Alex's eyes widened, and he shook his head almost immediately. "Mike, no, I can't accept that. That medal, it's yours. You earned it for risking your life to save others. You can't just—" Mike placed a reassuring hand on Alex's shoulder. "Listen, Alex, that medal is just a piece of metal if I'm not living by what it stands for. You helped me when I was down. This is my way to do the same for you. I'm doing this because it's the right thing to do. And if anyone deserves a little help, it's you." Alex hesitated, his throat tight with emotion. He looked away, trying to gather his thoughts, but finally met Mike's gaze. "You're a good man, Mike. I don't know how to thank you. Just promise me you'll keep paying it forward," Mike replied with a gentle smile. "That'll be thanks enough." The auction was a success beyond anyone's expectations. As the bids rose higher and higher, the town's spirit grew with them. The final bid for the Silver Star came in from a local veteran who, when he won, walked up to Mike and handed the medal right back. "Some honors belong in their rightful place," the veteran said, clasping Mike's shoulder. With the funds raised, Alex was able to cover a significant portion of his son Joey's medical treatment, giving him and his family much-needed relief. He also rented a small garage of his own, a modest space where he could offer fair, reliable services. Inspired by the community's generosity, he decided to open his garage under the name Honor Mechanics. On the door hung a simple sign, "Discounts for Veterans." The town's response was overwhelming. Veterans, families, and neighbors brought their cars to Honor Mechanics, grateful to have a place that valued kindness over profits. Alex ran his shop with the same compassion he'd shown Mike, and word quickly spread that Honor Mechanics was more than just a garage. It was a haven for those in need of help, respect, and understanding. A month later, Mike brought his old truck to Alex's garage. He greeted Alex with a firm handshake and a wide grin. "Need some work done on the old clunker again?" Alex asked, raising an eyebrow. "Maybe," Mike laughed. "But I just wanted to thank you again. I know that wasn't an easy thing you did back at Henderson's." "Wasn't much of a choice," Alex replied with a shrug. "I knew what was right." Mike looked around the bustling garage, where cars waited in line and a few customers lingered with coffee and warm conversation. "You built something here, Alex. You did this, and it's worth more than anything Henderson could ever understand." Alex gave a slow nod, the weight of the journey clear in his eyes. He had a home here now, a place that felt right. And it all began with a simple act of kindness, one that had echoed through the community and touched countless lives. Over time, the bond between Alex and Mike's families grew stronger. Nancy and Alex's wife, Sarah, became fast friends, often sharing coffee and long talks while the kids played together. On weekends, the families would gather for dinners, where laughter filled the room and stories were shared. Joey and Mike's children became as close as siblings, and both families found a support system in each other, a friendship forged in kindness and resilience. And every once in a while, when Alex looked up from a job or shook hands with a satisfied customer, he would see Mike's old truck pulling up, as if to remind him that sometimes doing what's right may cost you, but in the end, it's worth every sacrifice. And every once in a while, when Alex looked up from a job or shook hands with a satisfied customer, he would see Mike's old truck pulling up, as if to remind him that sometimes doing what's right may cost you, but in the end, it's worth every sacrifice. Thank you for watching and sharing this incredible journey of kindness and sacrifice. Remember, sometimes doing what's right may cost you, but the reward is always worth it. See you next time.